Will this beta be the new alpha of the game? Find out what I think of the new card as I hereby summon all my imps to join me on my adventures through Marvel Snap. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. So we got a brand new card today, and it is an interesting card that many people might know about, which is a Beta Ray Bill. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the history of Beta Ray Bill, what his powers are, and how he works in Snap, and my star rating on him is. So, background of this card, Beta Ray Bill is his species champion, and after Sulfurus and his fiery demons destroyed Beta Ray's homeworld, he was transformed into a cybernetic being resembling a fierce creature. The species now has masked their fleet to put themselves into stasis and is now following Beta Ray in hopes to find a new home. Beta Ray Bill's fleet was approaching the Milky Way galaxy when Thor went to investigate it. Thor was deemed a threat by the fleet, and Beta Ray awoke to fight Thor. During the battle, Thor was separated from his hammer Mjolnir. Beta Ray Bill picked up the hammer and was granted the powers of Thor. Odin then called them back to Asgard and decided that the two of them should battle to the death for the right to keep Mjolnir. Bill won against Thor. However, Bill refused to take Thor's life, and Odin decided at that point to return Mjolnir to Thor and have a new hammer made of Uru named Stormbreaker forged for Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill continues to protect his people. Odin found them a nice new home for his species. He has assisted the Asgardians as well. He has grown particularly close to Sif, who accomplished him into battle versus demons. He has joined his fellow hammer wielder Thor in many a battle. Though he may not be a native son of Asgard, the power in his hammer comes from Odin himself, so Beta Ray Bill will always be glad to fight for Asgard. Beta Ray Bill patrolled the cosmos and helped where he could for much of his life. He has teamed up with the Nova Corps, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the Inhumans. Though there were plenty of challenges to face and others he could help, Bill was not content as long as he knew that Galactus was roaming through the galaxy, consuming entire worlds and species. Knowing how it felt to have his own world destroyed and his species brought to near extinction, he had become the god hunter of Galactus. His powers: Beta Ray Bill has powers and physical attributes similar to Thor's, which augment his already powerful cyborg body. He possesses incalculable strength, near invincibility, immunity to disease and other ailments, and is virtually immortal. Beta Ray's build weapon, known as Stormbreaker, also has the same property as Thor's hammer's Mjolnir. Beta Ray Bill is an average unaltered creature until he calls forth on Stormbreaker, when he gains much more power. This is characterized in Marvel Snap by him being an average 4-cost card that calls for Stormbreaker, and when he finds it, his power goes way up. In a game of Marvel Snap, he is a 4-cost 6-power card that has on the description on reveal Shuffle Stormbreaker enter deck, and then Stormbreaker itself as a summon that has a 0 cost to 1 power that has on description on reveal double Beta Ray Bill's power. So I honestly think he's a 2-star rating, and I'm going to explain a little bit why I believe he's a 2-star rating, even though he seems like a ridiculously strong card on paper. So we're going to go through some of the things that I saw with looking at him and some of the problems that might occur in the future with him. The first of all, I think the card that everybody's got to look at straight up has got to be Thor. When you look at Thor and you look at Beta Ray Bill, it's not even a close competition. You know, Beta Ray Bill is 4, has 2 more power, and basically does the same trick as Thor does, except for instead of putting Mjolnir in the deck, it pulled Stormbreaker in the deck, which is honestly a better weapon than Mjolnir's for Thor. That just adds 4 to it, so Thor has a cap on it of the 8, normally speaking. The 10, normally speaking. Where if you hit Beta Ray Bill and just get his weapon off of him, he becomes a 12 straight off the bat. And even without having that in there, if you just look at how the thing is set up, the thing is meant to be the defining card for a 4 cost. The thing is a 4/6 by himself with nothing else on him. Here's the problem though. I don't know how many people are really trying to play a thing just by itself at this point in the game. And with him showing up on 4 instead of 3 like Thor does, getting a hammer is way more hard to do. It's a lot more of a challenge. Because even cards like Wave don't really help out because you're trying to get him on 4 anyways, and as soon as you could get it with Wave would be on 4. So the only chances that you have are early game stuff like Psywalk to get an early game, or maybe even Zabo. And the problem is once you throw in Zabo, you have the issue of like how many cards are you going to play in this deck? Now he does have a fun little companion, which is of course the Lockjaw. It's the same deck that you would normally see for Lockjaw and Lady Jane Foster, this non exchange job, where you kind of make that combination where you have the two, where you're playing down the Lockjaw, you're playing stuff like Wasp, or maybe even Forge to help it out. Because Forge is another good card for it, because if you look at how Beta Ray Bill is written, if you give Beta Ray Bill power, it doubles whatever power it has. It kind of works like Dakin does. So some of the cards that are really interesting and good for it are stuff like Wong. But the problem with it is when you're running the Wong, Lockjaw, Jane Jaw deck, you are really tight on space in that deck. Believe it or not, it is tight for getting spaces. And I'm not sure if you can really rely on having that many things to find before putting down Lady Jane Foster. If you know Dane, you're Lady Jane Foster, and you play down the Thor and you play down the Beta Ray Bill, your deck's going to be a little bit sad. If your Jane is really stuck in the last card on your deck and you can't find her, and then at that point, are you trying to play stuff like Crystal just to get the more draws out of your deck? I mean, that seems odd and ugly to do that, and that might be its problem. Also, I put Thor in this really weird spot where Thor can't get any more expensive, otherwise Beta Ray Bill is just a way better card, and Beta Ray Bill really can't get too much more cheaper, otherwise Beta Ray Bill is a really good card. So it might be this one first step for Marvel Snap in having this true power creep, where if anything ever happens to Beta Ray Bill, he goes down by even 1 power. He goes from a 4 to a 3. Even if he's a 3/4 himself also, he's way better than Thor. You never play Thor again in his life. And that's the problem. There's a part of me, and I don't know how they would do this, how they could figure this out, why they would do this, but would love somehow if Marvel Snap can make it so that Thor could power up Beta Ray Bill and Beta Ray Bill could power up Thor. That almost seems like an interesting combination, where if you got the Warbreaker, the Stormbreaker, it would double Thor's power, and if you got Mjolnir, it would give Beta Ray Bill plus the 6. I'm not sure how that would happen. I'm not sure if that would make the card way too broken in the end, but I think it would be kind of interesting just to see that happen. Another interesting card to play in is if you're going with the long version of this, is you can play the Wong play the beta ray bill, someone else put down the Stormbreaker on the wall to get it to really power up, to bring it up to 12 and then 24, and then break the beta ray bill into two 24/24s. That's not that uncommon to happen, and that's gonna win you some games. Getting two 24/24s is basically putting down two of the ever popular Infinauts on this. There's also a version where you basically on turn 6 you could basically skip a lot on turn 5 and play She-Hulk and still get something out good with the beta ray. When you're playing with Lockjaw and stuff like that, you have a lot of times where you can skip the 5 or play the beta ray on 4, skip the 5, and then play She-Hulk and maybe Taskmaster on 6. And if you get the hammer, great. You now have a ridiculously powered 12 on one side, and you've got a ridiculously powered 10 in another side, and a ridiculously powered 10 the third side. The thing that you also gotta watch out for beta ray bill is if you're playing along, you know that Cosmo's coming down. You're gonna see a lot of Cosmo come back. You're gonna see a lot of Cosmo played against you. And for this particular week, other than the beta ray bill, we've got a horrible cache. This might be the worst cache to run on for this week if you don't want the beta ray bill. And I really don't think it's worth blowing the key on if you want me to be 100% honest. Because the other two things in this week are the Galactus, which there's nothing wrong with having Galactus. But if you don't have Galactus by now, I'm not sure that you want Galactus. You either have it or you don't by this point. Sorry. And if you want the Elsa has gone so far down in value that I'm almost tempted to say that she might get a buff this Thursday, but I can't put my announcements and predictions on what might happen in the patch this week. If she does get a patch this Thursday, you come back and grab her and look at her at that point. But for right now, she is a completely dead card. I will still roll on this. I highly recommend wait for beta ray build on the path. And everything else in here is not worth it. So if you get the banner rebuild, just bounce. If you have the Galactus, I might not even roll. If you don't have the Galactus, roll for this week. Hope to get the Galactus. Maybe you'll get unlucky and get the Elsa. But I also might just wait for Galactus because the Galactus will show up again. But let's find out what's in the box. What's in the box? Let's all find what's in the box. Box says Galactus, which is horrible for me, because not only do I have a Galactus, I also have a variant that I actually very much like of my Galactus. But I will be playing it this weekend. Anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, remember, play for fun.